Hey Guru Nation, welcome back to the clinicaltrialsguru.com. So today we got a call from somebody. They're about to have a sponsor audit, and they were asking us all kinds of things. What are they going to check? It's not a for-cause audit, but the topic of SOP came up, standard operating procedures. And I said, make sure, one of the biggest findings is sites not following their own SOP, their own standard operating procedure. And then this person said, wait a minute, SOPs are not mandatory, are they? And we looked it up, so we Googled it, we went to the GCP guidelines, the FDA 21 CFR. Nowhere does it state that sites have to have SOPs to conduct clinical trials, just like nowhere in 21 CFR does it state that a PI, principal investigator, has to be an MD. However, practically speaking, I've never met a sponsor that will allow a non-MD or a non-DO to be a PI. It happens like 1 out of 1,000 maybe, right? I've also never heard of a sponsor being okay with a site not having a SOP. That's one of the things they ask you in your site selection visits. Do you have a SOP for your informed consent process? And then they ask further about your SOPs, or they can ask. Typically they just focus on the process of consent portion of your SOP, but it's expected that sites have SOPs. Not only that, if you're a site, you want SOP because you want to make sure that your SOPs are created by somebody who's knowledgeable in the industry. So get a consultant, get somebody to create your SOPs, maybe have a monitor help you out. Sometimes CRAs, if they take a liking to your site and you're a new site, they'd be willing to help you create SOPs, or at least give you some guidance on how to do that. You can just Google it as well. It's recommended because it's like a recipe for cooking a meal, right? Yes, some people can wing it and cook meals without a recipe, but someone who's brand new is not going to really be able to wing it when they're cooking a brand new dish that they've never cooked before. So recipes, an SOP is like a cookbook, like a recipe. So you want to have one. And yes, it may not be mandated by the FDA, but if the FDA does audit your site, they're going to ask you for your SOP. And if you don't have it, may not be a finding, but then they're going to look further into, well, are you following good clinical practice? Could these errors have been prevented if you had an SOP? So you're just creating more problems for yourself by not having one. Same thing with the sponsors. If somehow you got a study and you don't have an SOP, just get one ASAP, because at some point you're going to get audited by the sponsor, by the CRO, by the FDA, by the IRB. And one of the first things they ask is for your SOPs. If you say you don't have one, then they're going to think, well, what else do they not have? Are they not following good clinical practice? How are they following GCP when it comes to consenting subjects if they don't have an SOP? How are they doing that? And how do we ensure consistency amongst all the staff members at the site if there's no recipe to follow, there's no SOP to follow, there's no guidelines to follow? So definitely have an SOP. It's not mandatory, but practically speaking it is. So the FDA may not explicitly state all sites must use SOPs, but sponsors can, and sponsors will not choose you if you don't have SOP. So thank you very much. Keep the questions coming. Dan from the clinicaltrialsguru.com. Make sure you get your SOPs, and then when you get them, make sure you follow them. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.